How bad is you typing or beating that thing?
Sound like he's beating it. I don't sound like no tapping. It sounds like he's beating the heck out of it. How are you doing today, Mr. Mayor?
Doing well. I guess we can go ahead and get started. Reverend, you mind leading us in word prayer?
All right. Gracious Father and everlasting God, we thank you for this day and this opportunity. We ask you to be into our meeting, search our hearts as well as our mind, that we can conduct some business according to your way and your will. We ask all these blessings in Jesus' name, and for its sake we say, amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen. Number one, we'll open it up to Kirk Edwards, the Permian Fuels America Task Force report.
Hey, David, can you hear me okay?
Hear you fine.
Great. First of all, I want to say thank you for the service that each one of you does for our city. I've been in your place many decades, and I can't imagine the magnitude of the problems that y'all face every day compared to what we did back then. And just as a citizen of Odessa, I really appreciate everything y'all do for us. So offhand, thank you so much for what y'all do for us. Secondly, the Odessa Development Corporation, which works under the city council, had the foresight, I would say, to look into the problems we're seeing in the Permian Basin and our workforce right now. And this was probably happening in the last month or two. They saw the COVID virus, what it was doing to our oilfield service sector. And at that time, they got with Ray Perryman to put together a study. And Ray did a great study. And part of that study was to educate our legislators, our workforce, on how this time is different than the 80s, that we've got several factors working today that we didn't have in the past in the 1980s. And what can we do to try to keep those workers here in the Permian Basin? And then what can we do to help the situation where this doesn't happen every 5 years? I've been in this business since 1981. I hate to say that, long ago, but I've seen this happen 6 times to us. And so we want to try to address things with our recommend things with our task force ahead to help alleviate some of those problems down the road. So with that today, and I don't know if Randy was able to get it to you because it just went out at 8:30 this morning. We had a press release from ODC announcing the formation of our task force called the Permian Fuels America. And we presented to ODC last week where you may have heard about some of the things we've been doing. But what the main thing we want to do today is let you know that we've launched our website. And I think the website name is the permianfuelsamerica.com.
That's correct.
And I please hope you'll go to it. I think it's phenomenally well done. It just launched today, so please be ginger with us. If you see anything that jumps out at you, please let us know. But we're going to announce today, really, that for your workforce group, that Odessa and Ector County wants to take on the initiative for the entire energy industry to change the way things have been going in the past. And I could not be more proud today to be an Odessan. We've got a great task force that we put together of fellow Odessans. The people that I asked to help serve on that all have their own oilfield service companies. They're all seeing what's happening in the field today. And what we wanted to do is keep this Odessa and Ector County centric to start out with and kick this off. But again, we'd love to have Midland involved. We'd love to have Andrew Permit and the state and this country get involved in looking into this problem that we, again, see every 4.
Okay, I'm in, Leitra.
And so we start from, so with that, I just wanted to announce that kickoff this morning, and please take any questions that any of you may have. And I just want to say again, I'm proud of what the city's doing, what this ODC is doing to address something that it seems like nobody else wants to touch. So with that, I kick it back to you, Mayor Turner.
Hey, everybody will mute if you're not talking, just to make sure we get rid of the background noise. Kirk, we really appreciate you leading this. All your experience and all the resources you've put together have been amazing. Is there any questions from council?
Mayor, this is David Boutin. Can I make a couple of comments
Sure.
that I think might be pertinent? If you take what Kurt just said, somebody that really is not in the know might kind of think, well, this task force just got started working. Well, that's not the case. The task force has been working now for probably 60 days, I would guess, at least. And things that have happened, I guess one of the reasons I'm saying this is I've been real pleased with the sense of urgency, the fact that they hit the ground running with regard to putting together a strategy, a plan, a messaging plan. There's been CBA Advertising and has been our local rep with regard to putting some messaging in place that is aimed at our workforce, aimed at our state legislators, and aimed at our federal government. And that work has been going. The billboard program has changed. I just saw some good video that's going to be going out. If it's not out already, that's really wonderful. But the fact that this group has been engaging our folks in Austin and Washington for some time now in order to get the message across that says, you can't ignore this industry. It's too important to the United States and to the state, and certainly it is to our area. So I just wanted to just comment on the fact that this group has been working really hard and getting a lot of things done with regard to getting this message out. So don't, I would hate somebody to have be under the impression that they just, with this press release, they're just starting their work, because that's not the case.
I want to, if I can say something, David, this is Peggy. I just wanted to tell Kurt how great the website is. I've already gone on and looked at it, and it is filled with information, a lot of which obviously came out of the Perryman report, but facts that I think are going to be important to people and to get the message out. But I really want to compliment you on the mission statement. I think it's so on point, and it leaves no ambiguity about what this, what the mission is. So thanks so much.
Thank you, Peggy. And I just wanted to state too that with President Trump coming out, I don't know if y'all heard about that next week, but the timing really could not be better for him to come to our area of the world where the Permian is, and Odessa's right in the middle of all of this, the epicenter of our oil and gas industry. And for him to come out here and see and hear from us next week. And we have got a lot of education that is taking place with the group that's going to be there, and talking to him and talking to his officials about what's going on and our plight right now. It is a plight, but what can we do to try to do some of this for the future? And I think that's where, as David said, a lot of work has been going on this. When you see these commercials this week, and I hope, Randy, that maybe Craig can get 3 commercials. I know they've canned. It gives me chills to watch these commercials, and I just think you're all going to be thrilled that Odessa again is kicking off this campaign for the entire country, because nobody to me seems to care. And I just really appreciate all of you for what y'all done, and especially for allowing ODC to take this path, because I think what this will pay off in dividends, not only for ODC and Odessa, but for the industry ahead, will be absolutely monumental. So again, with that, that's what I just wanted to add into my piece on this. And if y'all have any questions at all, again, like Peggy said, look at the website, give us your critique on how we can change things. We have a petition. We'd love for you to go sign the petition, and we're going to get this out in all kinds of social media, with LinkedIn, with the Facebook and Twitter and all these things that everybody's using, even TikTok. Some of this that's going on right now, this will launch everywhere today. And so I hope all of you are as proud as I am that we can all be involved in this together ahead.
Kurt, can I make a comment
Mayor,
real quickly?
Mayor, I'm sorry.
You bet.
No, can I make a comment just real quickly? Just for everyone's information, the billboards will actually go up tomorrow on the digital billboards that ODC already has. And there are billboards welcoming President Trump to Odessa and with the theme line that the Permian fuels America. So that will go up tomorrow. Thursday morning, all of the television and radio will begin. And so you'll see quite a bit of it going into this weekend and leading up to the president's visit next week.
Thank you, Craig.
Mayor, I just wanted to, if I could, thank Kirk. This is Mara. Thank Kirk and David. I know as a new, not so new, but kind of new councilman, a lot of times we do things and it just seems like we wait and we wait and we wait. And you think, well, we did something. When's this going to happen? And I'm just excited that it kicked off really quickly and that the balls are turning. So the wheels are turning so fast, you know, and I thank you for your work. I know it's a lot. And I know you guys are both all very busy. So to take time to make this happen so quickly, it's just always good to see it happen.
Thank you, Mara. And as you know, I'm not very patient, so I've been on Craig and his team of designers and specialists for the last few weeks, and I wanted to launch this on Thursday. I probably did a pre-launch to a group that they got mad at me about last week, but we are going to see some action, and you will see a tremendous amount of media ahead, and it's going to be controversial too, because there are people that don't want our industry to do well that are in the industry that you'll probably be hearing about. So,
wow.
You know, what we're going to do is represent the 2,900 independent oil and gas producers. We're going to represent the work in the field of the drilling rigs of the literally 30 to 40,000 people that have been laid off here in the Midland, Odessa area in the last 3 months. And they need a voice, and we're going to be that voice for everybody ahead, for sure.
Thank you.
You bet.
Kurt,
Thanks, Mary.
Go ahead,
hi,
Peggy.
Kurt, this is Peggy. One more thing. Well, it's really the background's bad. Okay. I think we've probably all been contacted by different media. I know I got a request from Forbes, so I'm sure we all did because it was a city council. And I've got a response that I was going to send back, and I'd like to run that through you first. Can I send that to you?
Of course, Peggy. Thank you.
Okay, will do.
I think Kirk really brought up something that we've been working on as a council for a long time. If we don't tell our story and tell it in a positive way as a city and as an industry, we are doing ourselves a great disservice, because too many times we're letting other people put the message out on the oil, because you never hear good things about the oil industry. And I really commend him and David, Kirk, everyone who's been involved in this. And I'm really excited. Kirk, if you want to, we can go visit mayors, you and I. If there's any mayors you'd like to go to Andrews, we can talk to them and get them all plugged in and move forward. It's just up to you. Just let me know.
Sure. One little piece to this, part of our task force, this is the big piece for me, but part of our task force, we're going to be looking into a broadband issue for Ector County. Ray brought that up because we've got, I think maybe some of y'all read in the paper yesterday, probably 15 to 20% of the kids, and I bet it's worse in Ector County, don't have any access to broadband. When we're talking about our schools for the fall, we want to address that with probably the Permian Strategic Partnership and Motran, because they've all been working on this issue ahead, and that may be a Midland Odessa deal. But also PPP program. I know we were talking, Chris Cole's talking about it at ODC. David, I had to leave before y'all got to talk much about again, what can we do to get more people in Ector County in the PPP program, especially in our minority community? It's free money to me that the government's handing out. We probably have hundreds of companies in Odessa that didn't have access or the ability to get to their bankers to talk about getting this money from this program. But there's going to be some other sideline issues of this, and probably, again, of the 30 to 40,000 people that have been laid off, I bet 80% of them are minorities in our community. And that needs to be addressed where, and educated to people, where it's not just a bunch of oil guys that are losing money in this. We've got, and Baker Hughes, BG Hughes announced a bankruptcy this morning, which again is another huge company that's going down the drain. So I think we're very timely. And again, I just really appreciate everyone here being part of this. And I'm hoping we can have some very positive news over the next few months.
Mayor, this is Wesley. I just wanted to thank Kirk for his work and for David and Tim. They're on here, obviously. But the ODC, I hope you've seen, has been very nimble, been able to accommodate emergency meetings, and appreciate the legal staff and the city as well for working with us on those things. So if you see something, hear something that we need to try to address in a quick manner, I think we've proven that we can do that. And I appreciate the opportunity to work with Kirk and the board on this and the council as well. So thank you.
Great job to everybody. Any more questions or comments? Now this bunch is quiet. That's amazing.
This is Pastor Shelton. I just want to say that as a new member of this council, city council, I want to commend them on doing a wonderful job on advertising about what's going on in Ector County as well in the city of Odessa and everything. So I just wanted to commend them on a wonderful job and keep up the good work.
Thank you, Reverend.
Okay. Thank y'all very much. And we will move to item 2.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank y'all. Consider bid award and contract to FabTech Wastewater. Mr. Kerr.
Morning, Mayor and Council. Yes, this is for your consideration, a bid award to FabTech Wastewater Solutions LLC to rehab a final clarifier, the 4th final clarifier that we have at the Bob Darrington wastewater plant. This is in the previous 4 years, we have rehabbed the 3 others. There are 4 of them, so this will be the last one that we're needing to do. These clarifiers have been in service for 30 years plus, and they have not had this kind of major rehab done in that time period. So this should help us be in good shape for a significant period of time with these clarifiers. The low bid was by FabTech Wastewater Solutions for $319,000. There was a second bidder from JS Haven Company, and then a no bid from another company. But the FabTech has done all of the previous 3. They've done good work for us. This number is very similar to what we saw in last year's project, and so we would request your consideration and award of this bid.
Are there any questions? Okay. Sounds good, Tom. Item 3, consider annual award for bid for crack sealing compound. Mr. Kerr.
This is an annual supply contract or bid for crack sealing material that we use in going out to our streets. And as our streets age, the flexible pavement on the surface oxidizes, becomes more brittle. And in the winter months, it will start to contract because of the colder weather, and it creates cracks in the paving as it ages. And so this crack sealing material is utilized to fill those cracks in. And our first priority in each year of doing this is to crack seal the streets that will have seal coat placed on them, that would have our new friction seal processes and our rejuvenation processes done, so that the paving is in good shape to receive those seal coats and such. This material is a very flexible type of material, and it performs very well. We had 2 bids on this material. The low bid was just slightly more than our previous year's price for the bid. And we would request that y'all have consideration on awarding that bid so we can move forward with crack sealing it with that material.
Are there any questions from council? Sounds good, Tom.
Thank you. Thank you.
Item 4, consider amending Article 3-12 flood damage prevention. Ravon.
Insurance programs, community rating systems requirements for Class 8, and implements a 1-foot freeboard requirement for any building or structure. Starting January 1st, 2021, the NFIP's community rating system will begin implementing a new prerequisite for achieving Class 8, and which is enforcement of a 1-foot freeboard standards for equipment and mechanical items. In order to retain CRS Class 8 rating, the City of Odessa needs to amend the Article 3-12 flood damage prevention in the City Code of Ordinance by adding subsection 7, which reads, equipment and mechanical items, all new construction or substantial improvement shall be constructed with electrical, heating, ventilation, plumbing, and air conditioning equipment and other service facilities, a minimum of 1 foot above the base flood elevation, as such elevation is determined by the city engineer. And I'll be happy to answer to your questions.
Are there any questions for Irvan? Okay, thank you, Irvan.
Thank you.
Item 5, consider purchase of 50 laptops to improve telework capabilities. Michael. Michael, you on?
Mayor?
Yes.
Sorry about that. Good morning, council. This item for your consideration, and you'll see this on the council agenda next week, is something that is consistent with what we have discussed regarding the use of CRF dollars. If you recall, there were several categories, including medical expenses, public health expenses, payroll expenses, compliance with health measures, and economic support. This falls under the category of compliance with health measures, specifically improving telework capabilities. We discussed this previously with the council, that this is something in light of COVID-19, and when certainly when we first started sending people home to work from home, and now that we are currently on alternating schedules, we've determined that while we have some capability to allow people to telework, the addition of these 50 laptops will help us improve that capability. Many of our folks don't have access to the sort of laptop that's required to be able to access our system. And so this will allow us to purchase those laptops and then assign those to those individuals that are currently working or will be working from home. Overall, this will expand our ability to make sure that those folks that are working at home are in fact doing what's necessary to keep the city running. So we'll ask for your consideration on this item. This will be a reimbursement that we will ultimately get from the CRF monies that we've received. And I also have Mike Parrish, our IT director, that has if you have any specific questions about the laptops themselves, Mike can answer those for you.
Any questions or comments from council?
Yeah, this Tom. It looks like we're paying $1,250 per computer. And look at the specs, it didn't really look like they were all necessarily, they're certainly not gaming specs. They're pretty ordinary, pretty run of the mill. And I'm thinking, is that the best price we can get on 50 computers?
Yeah, so
Mike, you want to address that?
Yeah, so if you look at the specs on there, we tried to keep a certain memory and a certain processor. Some programs require more power than others, and then obviously you have to have the right webcam and some of the specs that are on there. I can see that it looks like it's kind of more expensive, but that's actually the standard laptop that we assign out here at the city. It does include a government discount that you get from the Dell website. But all of that it's a little past standard, but it's required for some of the programs that we do here at the city.
Yeah, the specs look pretty run of the mill, unless there's some software here that I didn't see that would add cost to it.
No, it's not the software, and plus, if you'll see that it also includes 3 years of warranty on that. That covers the entire laptop, whether it was accidental or just the wear and tear of the laptop. So like I said, it's a little past standard if you look at the processor, and then usually you get 4 gigs of memory when you come to the laptop. We try to keep it at 8, so that drives the price up a little bit, but it's the standard laptop we give out here in the city.
Okay, is this through any kind of buy board or anything like that, or
It's through the DIR state contract, Tom.
Okay, all right. I thought $1,250 is a lot of money for a very common spec laptop with this volume anyway. Okay.
All right, any other questions? Okay, thank you, Michael. Next we'll move to discussion on industrial district agreements. Natasha.
Good morning, Mayor and City Council. This item or discussion item I'm bringing to council because we're getting ready to look at either renewing our industrial district agreements or coming up with utility service agreements. And so I wanted to speak with council to see what they would prefer us do this time around. Since we're no longer doing involuntary annexations, I wanted to bring this to you for discussion.
Can you give us the pros and cons of both?
I guess if you look at I guess the pros would be the reason we do industrial district agreements, which is one reason, is because in these particular 8 that we're discussing today have actually told us that they do not want to be annexed. And that's the reason I'm really bringing those to you, because if they don't want to be annexed, we do industrial district agreements to put off annexations, and then they get other services from those like police protection, fire protection. And in addition, they have to do outside city limit utility service agreements if they want outside services. And so in this to council is because we're not doing any involuntary annexations anymore. I wanted to see what your pleasure would be with these industrial district agreements, knowing that these particular companies do not want to be annexed. And also there's a chart that I sent out. And if you look at it, you'll see the difference between the industrial district agreements versus the utility service agreements in each chart. And I can go through those if you like, or do you just want to look at it?
It's council's pleasure.
I'd like us to go through it because, this annexation hit 4 of us on this council, our very first meeting. And I think we've always had a little bit of uncertainty about it. I'm not trying to speak for Tom and Mara and Deetra, but I know I've always still had a little uncertainty. So I really want to understand this, because sometimes things that we do have an effect that we have absolutely no idea about. So if nobody minds, I'd like to go through this a bit.
Okay, so we'll look at industrial district agreements, and regarding annexation, they're statutorily protected up to 15 years, which by the local government code that says that we won't annex them within those 15 years. So when they sign a industrial district agreement, what they're basically agreeing to is to not be annexed for 15 years. But after that, the city could choose to annex those agreements. Also, in the past, we've done 7 years, but the council can pick the amount or the term of the industrial district agreement. It just has to be up to 15 years. So that's the first dealing with annexation. And then with the fees you look at, which are different from the utility services agreements, they're required to pay any tap fees, any fees associated with extending the main water line to the property. So with the industrial district agreement and with utility service agreements, they're both required in both of those to pay for those services. Now, when you look at payment in lieu of taxes, with the industrial district agreement, and I think this is one of the major differences, with the industrial district agreement, they're required to pay pursuant to our standard agreements, the payment in lieu of taxes. So that goes through ECAD, and there's a figure that they work out as far as the payment in lieu of taxes. And Cindy May can help us with this. But with a utility service agreement, instead of paying a payment in lieu of taxes, they pay 1.5 times. Well, the utility rates is 1.5 times.
Well, if they're under an industrial agreement, they generally pay what we call an inside rate. So because they're paying the payment in lieu of tax, they're getting an inside rate on their water sewer bills. If they're not if they're not paying an industrial district, they would be considered an outside user and they would pay a 1.5 additional. It's 50% more for being outside the city limits.
Natasha, did you keep referring to something that you sent? Did you send, the only thing I've gotten was the roofer and mobile dent memo. Did you send out something about this?
I've sent it out. The original date was June 4th. I sent it out. Let me see if I can find the last day, but I think I've sent it out 3 or 4 times.
On June 4th?
That's the original date that I sent it. And let me see if I can put in the title and I can tell you maybe the most recent date.
Well, I mean, does everybody else have what she's talking about?
Yes, I received it. I know twice. I know twice
Okay.
I received it.
Well, don't worry about it then. It's just me. I'm looking back here and I just.
I'll send it to you again. I can send it right now.
Natasha.
Yes, ma'am.
On these 8 that we're looking at, they are current with any fees and they're not.
Yes, those 8 have actually paid. They are current with their fees.
Okay.
Yes. What's the revenue side? I mean, do they use enough water where it's going to cost them more money, or is it going to be about a wash?
Well, I did a quick analysis this morning on this, Mayor, and some of them use enough water and sewer services that you might get more money than what the actual industrial in lieu of tax payment is. But overall, your payment in lieu of tax for all 8 of these is higher than what their water and sewer would be at 1.5. Some of them are less, some of them are more. It just depends on, how much they use. And then the fee is kind of based on the market value of their property. The in lieu of tax fee is.
So this is Councilman Shelton. So in the base of it, it's best to be a part of it, not to be an insider than to be an outsider.
Well, for these 8 properties, yes. I mean, they're paying a fee that awards them what we consider city services, which is generally your police, fire type services. So just like other taxpayers get. So.
Okay, thank you for the information. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And these 8 want to continue on. These are ones that their industrial agreement is just now maturing or expiring.
And yes, and what we normally do at this time is when we reach out to those particular companies and ask them what they want to do. But I wanted to check with council as to whether you wanted me to renew their industrial district agreements or give them the option as to whether they wanted to renew or just do outside city limits agreements. Because what we've been, after the last annexation that we did, the very big annexation, we've had several companies reach out to us and say, hey, we don't want to be in an industrial district. We only want the city services. And so that's one of the main reasons. And then with the direction from council not to do any involuntary annexations, that's why I wanted to reach out to council and see what your pleasure is, because we do have companies that actually don't want to be in industrial district agreements, but they feel that that's the only way that they can be provided those services. And we do have some companies that just have the outside city limit services. So I wanted to know if you wanted me to provide them with that option or just the option of renewal.
These have said that they want to be in this? They want to
No.
continue. Okay.
No, we haven't reached out to them, and that's what I'm trying to get some guidance on.
Okay.
As to whether or not when I reach out to them, do I provide them the option or just renewals?
So if they are no longer an industrial agreement, they no longer have police protection.
That's true. They don't have the protections that are under the industrial district agreement, and that's something that we would communicate. However, I'm not aware of what we actually do as a city because of some of our agreements with the county to provide those same services.
So basically, you're just wanting to know if we want you to give them the options or to just renew them.
Yes, that's what I want to know at this point.
I mean, if we're losing money, I'd
Seems to
probably stay with
me,
the industrial
whoops.
district.
And it seems to me that if you are going to give them the option, it's really important, as the mayor just pointed out, that they understand all of the issues of not being of not having the industrial agreement, not just, okay, it's a difference in utility, because that the police issue the mayor just raised is a pretty big issue.
Council.
Yes, it is, and fire protection. So,
Council, this is Michael. They're going to get fire protection no matter what, because we have agreements with the county to provide services outside of city limits. I will
For
say
fire.
For fire only, yes, ma'am. I will say the other thing, and this is a case for annexation. We currently don't get sales tax from anyone in an industrial district, and certainly we would not get sales tax from anybody if we did outside service agreements. That may be a consideration. I don't recall specifically which 8 these are, but just kind of looking at future growth of the city, I mean, those might provide a good source of revenue. The council was so inclined to if you were inclined to annex, that is.
I'd probably rather stick with the industrial agreements.
Right.
Council Samara, what do you think, Peggy?
You know, I always like giving people options, but it seems to me that there's way more issues than what I fully understand. I probably would just as soon give it, and I'd probably just as soon stick with the industrial agreement.
Tom, what do you think?
I agree with Peggy. And I was thinking that before. You know, there is no real reason or advantage for the city not to have them under an industrial agreement.
Reverend, what do you think?
I agree the same way. To the point is that what Peggy and Tom said.
Okay. Dewey, what do you think?
We can't hear you.
I got you. Can we hear me? Can you
Yeah,
hear me? I would agree with the industrial district.
Okay. All righty.
Who sets the limit, the number of years?
I was going to ask council, the last ones we did for a term of 7 years, and you can go up, and that's been the standard amount of years that we've normally renewed for, and you can go up to 15.
I like 7.
I would go with 7, and at that point.
Yeah, and then if they want to go up, you can give them that choice to go up. But I will stick with the 7.
Council, this is Michael again. I don't want to be kind of the odd man out, but there is also a consideration for, as the city continue to grow, what's the best way to grow? And currently what we have today is a hodgepodge, if you will, of city limits surrounded by industrial districts surrounded by city limits. So those things tend to make provision of service more difficult. I'd like to propose perhaps if we could get together with a small group of council, another task force, if you will, so we can talk about all of the relevant issues, and then maybe come back with a report back to the council. I just don't want to lose out on revenue opportunities or service opportunities if they exist.
I think that's good. Who would like to serve on it?
I'll serve on it.
I would like to.
I will serve on it if you'd like me to.
Okay.
We
Thank
got
you.
three, and we will let them begin work on that.
When do they have to renew though?
December, and
Okay.
so we'll start reaching out to them now, and
Okay.
that's why we bought this item at this time, so we could. We're a little late, but I think we can still get them all done by December.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
Thought it was sooner, so thank you.
Sounds good. Okay. Thanks, Natasha.
Thank you.
We need a
Oh,
motion.
and also, Mayor, can we also talk about the write-offs?
As long as you say we can.
Okay, so we have some delinquent accounts, and those accounts, they're also highlighted in the memo that I sent, and I just sent it out if you guys are just now looking at it, and it's the highlighted on the end of the attachment. But we have some accounts that are Ms. McCord, who keeps our records for industrial district agreements, that she's recommending writing off. They are business personal property accounts, and they're no longer in existence. So basically, cost collection efforts would not be cost effective. And so I was wanting to see if it is okay if we have her write those accounts off.
I did look at those, Natasha. Not any of those are businesses anymore, or anywhere that we could put a lien or anything. Nothing we could do to collect those.
No, they're personal business.
Okay, and I guess my second question, and I don't know if I can talk about this or not, but if I can't, just stop me. But I know that these got maybe out of hand and we didn't get the collection on them, but do we have something in place to make sure that we are collecting? I know that McCord and that group does some collections, but I know there's some out there that probably are still existing that are not paying. And I know I've mentioned this before, and we just really need to make sure that if they're in existence, they need to be paying, because otherwise they end up on this list when they go out of business.
So I can visit with Ms. McCord and provide you an update on that.
Thanks.
The direction that we gave last year was to move forward with these collection efforts, and we're keeping we're really reviewing them and looking at them more closely than has been done in the past.
Okay.
But I can get with her specifically on that, and I can provide you an update.
I'd like that if you could.
Yes, I'll provide council an update on the collection efforts.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, need a motion to remove from the table.
Oh, so is it
no,
okay
we
to
didn't
write
make a
those
decision.
off?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I think we need to go ahead and write them off. We can't collect them.
Okay. I agree.
I agree.
So moved on the motion.
Great.
Okay, so we approved writing it off. Now we are moving from the table to consider allocation to CDBG CV funds. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? And now it's back on the table. Consider the allocation of CDBG CV funds. Marita.
Yes. Good morning, Mayor and Council. This morning, we're going to discuss the CDBG CV funds, the request for funding that we discussed at the last council meeting. As you know, there is a total of $514,553 available for the projects. We have determined the 4 categories that the task force deemed as most needed is the food assistance, the rental, mortgage, and utility assistance, homeless assistance, and mental health. On the screen is presented the spreadsheet as it was from the last council meeting for your reference, and for you guys to go in and make a final determination as how to allocate the funding. And I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Council, this is Michael. We left on there everything where we had consensus from the council, and the only outstanding issue, there were 2, and that was the mobile home for Family Promise and the funding for Meals on Wheels. Earlier last week, I provided a recommendation to the council on how you could do both, with a portion of that coming out of the CRF money. And again, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Why don't you go over the recommendation real quick, Michael, just to make sure we're all on the same page.
Yes, sir. So again, the issue that the council got stuck on last week was the mobile home to Family Promise. So in terms of a recommendation, understanding that we could fund some of this, specifically the Meals on Wheels portion out of it, I suggested that we could do part of it there and part of the CDBG. So my proposal was for Family Promise, in order to get them the trailer and the items that would be necessary for them to get that thing up and running, I had recommended an amount of about $108,000, or exactly $108,000 for Family Promise. That would leave a balance of 101,963 that could come out of CDBG CV for Meals on Wheels, and the remainder 103,000 could come from the CRF if the council so chose.
And Michael, you were going to check in the extra money. The train of thought went, but the extra money for Meals on Wheels is secured. You've already checked that and made sure that we could make that happen, right?
That is specifically eligible under the CRF, and that is food delivery to elderly and vulnerable populations. So yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Michael, thank you very much for figuring out how we could do that. I think we all felt pretty strongly about both of those. So I would make a motion to accept that recommendation and fund the 108,000 to Family Promise out of CDBG, 101,963 out of CDBG, and the remaining out of the CRF funds, 103.
Second.
I second it.
Okay, we have a
Council,
motion.
we probably need a motion on all the allocations. This would include the ones you previously agreed to last week.
Michael,
So item
Peggy, before you,
yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that, as I think Dewey had stated at the last meeting, that these funds are really new and something that we want to make sure happens. But I just want to make sure that auditing process is in place, that we make sure that the money is spent and that nothing is left undone, and that it's spent for the purpose for which we are assigning it to, and just to make sure that there's something in place to make sure that happens and that we don't not spend the money.
It's a great point, Councilwoman.
Good point.
There are.
So I guess based on last time, what that means is that we need to be sure that the 103,000 of the CRF funds are spent by December.
Absolutely.
On the CDBG funds, there's a little bit longer window, but I agree with Mara completely. We want accountability that those funds were spent for which they were allocated.
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
Peggy, if I could, just on the CDBG side, it is a very rigorous accounting process that has to take place in qualification process. So this is actually a good opportunity to remind those agencies that will receive the money that there are requirements. It's not anything that they simply get the dollars. This is a reimbursement program, so all of the costs will have to be justified before we release payment.
And Michael, I think it'd be good to let them know. I know you plan to meet with some of them, but I think we need something in writing to them so that, there's, just so that they know that that's our expectation and the state's expectation, quite frankly, but that it's in writing as well.
Yes, ma'am, there will be contracts.
Councilman Willis, we always provide them with the paperwork and the forms that they need in order to ensure that they are qualifying their clients according to the regulations. We also do orientation with each agency, especially since we have so many new agencies coming in that have never worked with CDBG.
Right.
We will be doing more intense oversight of them to ensure that they are spending the funds appropriately.
Thanks, Marita.
And I'll amend my motion, but I also want to say, once again, what an incredible blessing and opportunity this extra money is. I mean, the coronavirus has just wreaked such havoc, but this is something good that has come out of this, that these are one-time opportunities that we would never be able to do again. And hopefully we won't be able to do again because we won't have another pandemic.
I agree, Peggy.
Yep, I agree.
Amended her motion. So do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Now we need a motion to approve the rest or the previous, oh, no, we did. Never mind. Okay.
That was the amendment.
That was the amendment.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Mayor, there's one more item on your
We
list.
do need to allocate that. You're right.
Yes, sir. So in anticipation that the council would want to fund the remainder of the Meals on Wheels request out of CRF, this item is for your consideration today, and you can move on this particular item, but it is for $103,000 from CRF dollars that would go to Meals on Wheels for their program that specifically delivers meals to elderly and disabled citizens. I have spoken with Mrs. Burton, and she's very confident that she can have these dollars spent by the end of the year. As she indicated last week, the unfortunate result of COVID-19 is that her request for services and those individuals needing food has gone up significantly. So she certainly indicated her willingness to take whatever dollars she could in order to meet that demand. And like the others, this will follow the same sort of compliance that she would for CDBG.
Good.
So Michael, I had put that in my motion, that other motion. Does it need to come out of that as a separate, because I had included that in the motion we just passed?
I think if you included it, we probably need to. This is a different set of funding, Peggy.
That's different funding.
This would.
Yeah, I did. I specifically said the $103,000 from CRF. So I guess we need to take it out of that other one.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and make a motion.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Staff, thank you for all your hard work, and thank you, Michael and Marita, for all your help on these funds. We are adjourned.
Hey, David,
Yes.
since we're still on this, we got the Reverend and Dewey and Michael and I got cut off on our last meeting, and we were kind of at a critical little juncture. Could we stay on this meeting still for a few minutes or no?
Well, this is not on the agenda, Peggy, so I'm afraid we could not. But
I'm not. I'm saying we're out of city council. Can we use the WebEx line?
For us three. And you, Michael, just make
As
sure.
long
we
as
hit those-
Natasha didn't have a problem with it, I think it's fine.
We've adjourned from our city council meeting.
Okay.
Okay. I just wanted to use the line a little bit longer because we got cut off on the last one.
Natasha, is that okay?
Does that mean
That's okay.
and we can leave, right?
Yeah.
Yes, everyone
Yeah.
else can leave.
or council, we can resend out another link if you want to as well.